Hey everyone, this is 𝗬𝗓𝗦𝗢𝗏. I'm Krissy, and today's video I'm doing an overview and a review for you on Draconis Invasion and the Wrath expansion. Let's get to it. Video. Why can't I get that? No. I'm gonna redo that. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you to Jeff Lai, who did send me the base game and the expansion to review for you guys. And so let's check out how the setup is. So first, I'll go over how everything is kind of set up and what the components are in this game. So obviously, as you can tell, it's full of cards. This is a card drafting game. And the main things here are your action cards and your defender cards. Now, you're using your defender cards, you're trying to collect most of these so that you can go ahead and fight some of these invader cards right here. And these are just the monsters. It's got their health and how many points that they're worth at the end of the game, because that is how you win. Whoever triggers the end game, whoever has the most points is who wins that game, the round. So the defenders are what you're going to be using to fight these off. Now, the defenders on here actually cost some money. So you're gonna have to try to collect some of the wealth or treasure or fortune cards here to assist your defender to fighting these invaders here. And some of them, as you can see, are very high. So action cards will help you. These ones right here allow you to draw more cards. These ones assist with the cost for defenders. Some give you extra actions, so you can play multiple of these action cards. And then whenever you are fighting these, invaders right here, sometimes some of the repercussions are getting terror cards, and that affects this die right here. Now, this die at the beginning of the game you're going to be rolling because there is a starting threat level here. So if you rolled a 4, this one says all players gain 1 terror card and 2 treasure cards. So anything that is gained in this game is going to your discard pile. To gain extra points for the end of the game, whenever you fight some of these invaders here, they do have these points here, which are the victory points here. Now, if you can accompany that with one of these campaign cards, that is a Reaper. So if you manage to have that in your hand here, then this one turns into 4 points instead of just 2 victory points at the end of the game. Now, you do start with 2 of those cards, and you do keep these a secret so that nobody knows what they are or what kind of monsters that you're working towards. Now, the other cards that you start with in your hand are the default cards. Now, you get 5 default cards, which are these ones right here, and then you end up with 7 of the wealth cards here, so that it helps you at the beginning of your game to buy different action cards or to buy some more defender cards so that you can hurry up and fight those invader cards. So one major thing with the new expansion is that the expansion comes with 3 new sets of default cards. So these are the cards that are going to your hand because you get 5 of them. So that's nice, so that it kind of switches things up so that it's not always the same default cards that you start with in your hand. So whenever you're setting up, like this one for stage 9, some of the cards required are from add-on packs. So just keep that in mind whenever you are playing this game. Now, this setup right here is stage number 9 that I have set up here. So stage number 9, the expansion comes with 12 different stages that you can play. And usually, obviously, after you're playing the base game, so the expansion just kind of adds different cards. It definitely adds a lot more to the game. The same stuff, so different invader cards, extra action cards. It gives some more event cards, and I'll get to that in a minute. It adds some more campaign cards, so it definitely just adds a little bit more to the base game. But with this expansion, they come in stages, so they're all wrapped, and they tell you not to open anything until you get to the next stage, and so on. So it kind of leaves a little bit of a mystery type feel for it. So once you have your threat level level set up for the beginning of the game. You have everything set up. You got your threat level marked off here, and you have your hand, you shuffle your hand, and every hand is 6 cards. So you're going to be drawing 6 cards for yourself. And anytime that you end up with a tarot card in your hand, that goes to the discard pile at the end of your turn. And what that triggers is just bringing up the die number 1 for however many different tarot cards that you have. Now, if you end up with a 6 like this at the end of your turn, one of these event cards are given to the next player in turn order, and they get to deal with this at the beginning of their turn. So it's basically just flipping it over, reading the bottom effect right here and who it's going to affect the most. So it's usually the player who has the most kills will usually have a negative effect done to them. I noticed that with some of the new event cards from the expansion, it is a negative to the person who has the most kills, but also a positive effect to the person or persons who have the least amount of kills. And then once the event is dealt with, then it just gets discarded. So while you're playing this game, there are a few different options that you can do. So the first thing that you're going to be doing on your turn is an action card. And the action cards are these blue ones right here. Now, to be able to have one of those in your hand, you can buy them from right here. So as long as you have enough money in your hand to be able to purchase any of these event cards, that is how you get them. So let's say I put down $60 in my play area here. I'm going to go ahead and take this action card, and it gets placed in my discard pile over here. And whenever I'm finished with my hand, then I can go ahead and discard all of the cards that are in my play area here. So that is how you acquire action cards, and you can do the same thing too by buying a defender card. And like I said, defender cards, you're going to need those as well as money so that you can defeat these invader cards right here, which is where the points come from for the end to see who wins. Or you can choose to take 2 campaign cards. And like I said earlier, that is these right here. And you want to have some of these campaign cards to match the invader cards that you have killed, so that it adds more points for you at the end to see who wins. So as an action, you can take, so another option is to draw 2 of those cards. So you can take one of the 3 that is face up and put it in with the other cards that you have, or you can draw from the top of the deck. And again, these are always kept secret so that nobody knows which invaders that you're actually working towards, because you don't want them to take them from you. And then one of the other options, D, is for defeat. So you would be able to defeat an invader, or you can eliminate. So you can trash 1 card from your hand that is not a terror card. So you could trash any one of these except a terror card from your hand. That kind of just helps unclog your deck so that you make sure that you have some good cards coming out to be able to do whatever action that you're looking to do. Then we move on to forward. So if you have any cards left in your hand that are unused for that turn, if you have any gold cards in your hand, you can take one of those gold cards and place it on top of your deck so that you know what card, at least one of them, which card that you're going to be getting for your next hand that you deal to yourself of 6 cards. And then anything that's left in your hand or anything that was in your player area just gets placed on top of your deck like that, on top of your discard pile. So how the game ends, for a 2-player game, you're going to have only 6 event cards. And once all of those are gone, that is one way to end the game. Another way is if one person has defeated 9 invaders. So as soon as either of those 2 things happen, the game ends. Nobody gets another round, another turn. It just completely ends right there, and you tally up your victory points, and whoever has the most points is who wins the game. So those are the 2 ways to end the game. 3-player game, you're going to have 9 event cards, and you're going to have to defeat 6 invaders instead. Now, from 3 players on to 6 players, because this is a 1 to 6 player game, whenever you're playing from 3 to 6 players, you're going to only have to defeat 6 invaders at all times, but the amount of event cards goes up just because there are more players. to make it a little bit more fair and to have the games last around 45 minutes. So that is kind of how you play Draconis Invasion. The expansion, the Wrath expansion, does add a lot more cards to the base game. It's all very similar and the same type of cards. It's obviously different artwork and different benefits and things like that on the cards. And I enjoyed the way that they had it in stages. So you start off by stage 1 and it goes all the way up to stage 12. So in the base game, there are a lot of different cards, and I haven't played with all of them, but I imagine once you've played the game for a while, you start to get to know the cards and know which kind of cards go well together, and you try to pair them up, and the game just gets easier for you. So it's great that they added this Wrath expansion and kind of added a little bit extra to it by doing it in stages. So you start off with stage 1, and it adds different cards. Every stage adds different cards. So whether that is all just event cards, or it adds action cards or invader cards, some of the packs add extra campaign cards. So you never know what you're going to get until you open it up, and it's almost like a thrill of being able to open those up in order after different games. And it definitely makes you want to play more, because of that unknown. You don't know what's going to come up next in the next stage, and you want to know more. At least that's how it was for me. We ended up, Nick and I, playing 6 different stages all in one night. So it was, again, that thrill of not knowing what's going to come up, so it makes you want to play more. So the expansion does add a lot of extra cards, but again, it's very similar to what's already in the base game. It's just more of it. Some things did change though with some of the event cards. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever the effect is different on some of the cards. So it's not always the same thing where the player with the most kills gets a terror card. So it is different. The wording and the effects are different. And some of the action cards, they started to introduce more cards that would allow you to do a second buy as one of the options that you can do. So instead of just purchasing one card, then you can divvy up your money and you can purchase 2 different cards. Or there's other ones where giving you extra actions, drawing extra cards. There's some new cards too that if you purchase them, which are usually a higher cost, they're worth 1 or 2 victory points at the end of the game too. So it really kind of throws a little bit of a curveball at you, trying to figure out which way you're going to play your game. Like the strategy wise, I think is just a little bit different that way, throwing in these new cards and these new effects and everything like that. And then with the invader cards here, some of the new ones came with different options here whenever that they are revealed. So something happens to the player who defeated that invader last, something will happen. So it's either you're drawing 4 cards to your hand instead of 6, or you're taking a fear card to the top of your deck or to your discard pile. They're different things, and the new ones that came out were just a little bit different too, where the person who just played, who defeated that invader, gets or has to get rid of a treasure card, while the person or persons who didn't defeat any monsters or had the least amount of kills get to collect a treasure card or a wealth card, things like that. So with that comes a little bit more of beneficial effects to other people who haven't had that turn or fought many invaders. So I enjoyed that a little bit more with this expansion. So with that said, the games that we played a total, I think, of 7 or 8 games in a row, because again, the unknown, wanting to know what was in the next stage that we were playing, took us a little bit to play those 7 games. I would probably say the box does say 45 minutes per game, and that's pretty accurate. We did play 2 players and 3 players when we were playing this game, and obviously the more players that you're adding is going to add a little bit more time to it too. But once you pick it up, because it is a deck building game, and as long as you are comfortable with deck building games, I feel like the process, you understand how to play, and it gets a little bit easier the more that you do play it. So the time frame for this game, 45 minutes, is a pretty good estimate for it. There are some scenarios with these games with these new, where'd I put it? Stage cards. Sometimes you start off the game with less event cards. So I had a lot of fun playing this game. It wasn't necessarily too thinky for a deck building game. I thought it was very similar to the Dominion deck building game. Obviously different, probably it's a little bit more of a dark theme to it, and it is a little bit different. Instead of buying victory points, you are defeating invaders to collect those victory points for the end of the game. So to me, it was just a little bit similar to that. Obviously different artwork, different kind of style and things, but I did get that feel from it. But overall, whenever we did get to play those 7 games, the time didn't seem to drag on. We wanted to play more. We are not sick of it at all either. We will be getting it to the table again to play it some more. So that's always a good thing when it comes to games, is the want to play it more, which is exactly what this game gave me the feel of, especially being able to play with that expansion. So we have 6 more stages to play through. So I'm excited to see what all of those characters are for the action cards, and see if there's any extra invader cards coming out, any extra defender cards, and just looking at the artwork and getting to see all the event cards that are on the cards that happen whenever you play them down, and just excited to see what else is to come with this expansion. So overall, it was a very fun game, nice and relaxing, just sitting here. It's a card game, and it was nice and fun to play this game. So if you're into deck building games, if you are into this type of theme as well, then it might be something worth checking out for you. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time. Wait, what? What is happening? What is happening? I don't understand this.